Your ancient alien civilization is leaving its dying planet in search of a new homeland. The Promised Land is represented by Gaia, which is home to the magnificent human civilization of Atlantis.
Hey, that's us.
But beware, other houses of your civilization also have the same goal, and only one will be able to dominate Gaia.
Why isn't the winner of this game the person who has the most units on Gaia then? If your planet is dying and you need to leave that planet.
That's true. While we're talking about the flavor text and what's going on, listen to this excerpt from the rulebook. Behind him, a nearly 2 meters tall man, covered only by a skimpy piece of cloth tied around his hips, was advancing proudly and solemnly. His eyes, deep and shiny, stared straight ahead. His wide and masculine, mighty chest vibrated at every breath he took, while his vigorous arms accompanied the elegant and safe pace.
How does somebody do something proud and
solemnly? That sounds some... Well, you can be proud and solemn. You don't think so?
I mean, I feel like those are kind of contradictory.
No, you can carry yourself with like a solemn form of pride. Like you take yourself seriously. Like if you take yourself seriously and like it's like solemn pride is like
stoic.
old rich like arrogance.
Isn't it like stoic? Like you
Well, stoic is like more like I don't care, like austere maybe.
Okay.
Anyway,
Tonight on the board, boys.
Anunnaki.
A nearly 2 meters tall man.
It's not very tall.
That's like,
Well, I mean, sorry. It's not
6
very
foot.
tall for the rest of this table.
well, we think of a meter
it's not
as
very tall
a
for me.
yard.
For the rest of this table, it's very tall.
You're not that much taller than me.
What are you, like 6'2"?
6'8".
You're
not-
6'8". You're not 6'8". How taller actually are you?
6'3"? I mean, I'm 6'1".
But a meter.
You're taller than me. I'm 6 foot. I didn't think Rob was
A
taller than
meter
me.
is 1.1 yards. So like I'm 2 yards tall at 6 feet. I'm 6'1", right? I would have to be what, like 10% taller than that to be nearly 2 meters. Like that's a lot of length. Like, cause it's 72 inches, 73 inches. So I'd have to be 7 inches taller to be. That's. Hey, you guys can guess what system of measurement we don't know? Very well.
I think the next time I play this, I want to be the NBA Legends faction in this game. And
Yeah,
I'll
that's a
just have,
nearly 2 meters tall man. That's
Shaquille O'Neal and
Yeah, this dude's like
Yao
Shaq.
Ming on my team. Yeah.
I think that's our intro.
Maybe not our best work.
I think it's pretty good.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Board Boys Podcast, Season 14, Episode 10. Tonight on the docket, Anunnaki, Dawn of the Gods. This is your board boy. If they ask if you're a god, you say, yes, Rob.
This is your boy, Annunaki. TK.
This is your board boy, Shiva, hashtag where are the Hindu gods, Jake.
And this is your boy Neil, an alien. That's a palindrome right there. Reminding you that if this Anunnaki if this Anurakan don't come Anunnakin. If this Anunnaki don't come a knocking.
Yeah. So if there's like a alien sock on the door,
yeah,
you should not
What
come
does an
in.
alien sock look like?
Depends on the alien.
Got more toes.
Yeah.
I mean, go rip out the big book of cosmic encounter aliens, and there be all
Do you
kinds
think
of
there's
sock
do you think
types.
there's a alien that has it's got one leg but 2 feet on each leg, so the sock is like a Y, like a capital Y.
There's infinite possibilities, man.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
It's a cool palindrome though, right? Neil, an alien. NEILANALIEN.
Yeah, I watched the Three Body Problem on Netflix, and I started reading the books, and that's about an alien civilization that can dehydrate themselves, which is a strange power to have.
Without spoiling either of them, I
Yeah.
guess. How does the show compare to the book? Because I watched the trailer. I've read the book. I'm waiting for book 3 or 4. I don't remember.
I liked the show better because the book's getting better. The first part of the book
is very weird.
It's
not weird.
It's translated from Chinese, so it's very much a lot of science gobbledygook talk and a lot of talk about like the Chinese Revolution and just a lot of like, you're like, come on, get to it. And plus I'd seen the show, so I'm like, yeah, I kind of already know this stuff. It follows the show.
Okay.
Like, I think there's more in the show than there is in the first book. Like, I think they actually jumped into maybe some of the other books or made some stuff up.
Yeah.
Also, all the characters in it's the hardest part for me is I honestly really don't know who anybody is because they all have Chinese names. And like, I know a couple of the characters, but because all the names are like Chinese, I have a hard time differentiating or remembering who is who.
Because in the show, they don't have Chinese names.
No, the show is actually like in the UK.
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of all over, but they're all.
So it's not about the Chinese Revolution at all.
No, there is that in there. Yeah, no, that
like
is definitely part of it. It's more world focused than just China.
That's like a huge part of the book.
What's that?
The Chinese Revolution.
Yeah, and it is in the show too. Yeah. It's just the fact that not all the characters are from China in the show.
Like the 1949 Communist Revolution? Is that what you're talking about?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Like they were
Mao? Does it have historical characters?
No, I think it's I don't know. It's
Boxer Rebellion.
Boxer Rebellion is when they were trying to fight the Europeans to get colonization out. That's not really.
I just know they call each other comrade, and
that implies communism for sure.
Yeah, and
this would have been around Tiananmen Square and that kind of.
It's in the 40s, I think.
Okay, well,
Jake is like
1940 is Chinese Civil War, definitely, because it's before World War II and after World War II.
Right? No, it's not in the 40s.
It's in the 70s.
But Tiananmen Square
70s?
is way later.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're basically like stoning scientists because they don't like if like they want to teach you something that they don't think should be taught.
So like Cultural Revolution?
Yes. It's the Cultural Revolution.
Okay.
So that's like more like
that's
the
still
70s.
That's Mao's reign. Yep. So great step forward.
You're
and,
right. It is in
Cultural
the
Revolution.
70s. That makes way more sense. But anyway, it's a great show. The book I'm warming up to. I'm ready to start the second one.
Just the trailer that I watched, I was like, none of that's in the book.
Oh,
like how all the stuff happened and the video game and all that stuff.
It's in it. I mean, the video game is in the book and in the show,
right,
but it's
how
slightly,
they interact
it's
with the
slightly
video
different.
Game. Yeah.
But no, I think they do a fairly good job. They make the show look a little more fantastical than the book does, I guess, is what I would say. I
tend to shy away from shows and books.
Yeah. I mean, I just borrowed the Silo series from my stepdaughter, and I have not started those yet. But I liked the show. I didn't know it was a book. But anyway, I would recommend if you've read the book. I think the show's pretty good.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. There's definitely some aha gasp type moments. Campbell, did you know if somebody asks if you're a god, or if a god asks you if you're a god, you should say yes?
I disagree with that. I would never do that. Is that from a thing?
It's from Ghostbusters.
If a god asks you if you're a god, you need to say yes?
Yeah.
No.
Then you get blasted off the Empire State Building or something. Bam.
Small price to pay.
Sorry, I forgot who I was talking to. You're like the person in my life that if I looked at you, I would never think you're a religious person, and you're one of my most religious person friends.
I'm deeply convicted, yes.
But like I never really knew that about you for like the longest time.
Well, I'm not pushy, I don't think.
No, you're not. And that's why
There
you're
was
really low key about
there was
it.
a time he stopped by my house and like wouldn't leave. But other than that, he's not very pushy. Yeah.
Well, that was when I was that was before I converted from Jehovah's Witness.
yeah. It was for our TI game. So yeah, I was like, Cam, just leave and then I'll win. And you didn't.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the one thing that when I learned that about Campbell, that was, I don't know, it was unexpected. and hopefully we don't lose power. We
just had a literal sign from the heavens here. It was
wind.
It was the big man telling me that I'm not living good enough. Speaking of the Bible, which we didn't, but my copy of Ezra tangent from religion to the book. My copy of Ezra and Nehemiah came in yesterday.
That's a sore subject. His mine doesn't get in until Saturday.
Well,
so 6 days later, and Cam do not live very far apart.
Yeah, that's
I'm
true.
super excited though. I'm really anxious to get it played. Did you open it? Does it look pretty sweet?
I opened it. It looks pretty good. I haven't read the rules yet. The rule book is big. It's thick. Yeah.
it's another chonky rolling right,
No, it's not rolling right.
flipping right.
I don't think so. It's
a order placement game.
It's Shem, not Bobby Hill. So it's not Hadrian's Wall.
It's Shem and SJ.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was just another rolling right.
No,
game.
it falls into their historical games.
Speaking of which, I haven't picked a game for this podcast in a long time, so we're going to be doing an episode on Ezra and Nehemiah very soon.
I'm pumped about that. Plus, I got it. So,
Rob, what have you been playing?
Do you guys know that in the book of I think it's Nehemiah, he tears a guy's beard out. He rips a dude's beard right out of his cheek.
I don't know a lot of Bible stories, but I know there's a lot of crazy stuff in there.
I feel like the cheek would be a really hard place to rip a lot of beard out of.
I think he just probably gets a handful. I don't think he takes the whole beard off.
No. I mean, it's like it's a sticker that just slowly peels off all the way around.
Yeah.
Well, this is a board game podcast, and we have played a few board games, I think. We've all played, well, 3 of us have played this one. It's called an Age Contrived. It recently arrived on Kickstarter. It is from Bellows Intent, and the designer is Chris Matthew. And this is the weirdest game I've played this year, probably.
I agree. My main question is just why, in regards to the setup and the launchers.
Well, specifically, I have the special edition with like the metal player trays that have like a spring-loaded shooter function that doesn't really matter, but it sure is fun to use it. And assembling those things were a beast. But essentially, in this game, you all play, oddly enough, like these godlike deities, and you're trying to rebuild civilization. And you use these little acrylic tiles to trigger actions and then also place them on the board to bind them to these monuments. And then the monuments on the board, there's these little metal things that stick up through the board. And then you kind of can put these walls up on the monuments. And so you basically have a 3D kind of board by the time you're done with the game. It is the most complicated explanation to a game that really is not that difficult to play that I think I've played recently. Like, it's really hard to wrap your mind around all the stuff in the game, but the game is really not a hard game, I think, ultimately at its core, but maybe how to score and do well seems to be kind of an issue.
Was it BJ in our Discord who made the comment, it's just unintuitive?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's fairly unintuitive. I've played it twice. I can't decide how much I like it. I definitely don't like it at 5 players because it's way too long. We played it at 3, and I think we had a much better experience at 3.
It went pretty quick. I don't feel like at any point I thought this game was dragging or anything. It's just, It's interesting. I don't know that I've played a game that I have left not knowing how I felt about it as much as I did with that game. So I'm really anxious to try it again. But it was odd for sure.
The second play seems more intuitive than the first. Like it takes an entire play to be like, okay, I understand how to score. I understand where these things go. I understand what I'm doing. And I think in this day and age, that might be a little tough for people to
probably
get to the table. Right.
Yep. I mean, unfortunately for me, this was one that like I got to specify what my box looked like, and I could put like a cool thing. So like I'm probably keeping this one for a good long while.
Yeah.
But I mean, I enjoyed it. There's a solo mode and some extra stuff that I'd like to check out. I think it definitely could be cool at the lower player counts. I think 4 would probably be okay too, 3 or 4.
5 was brutal.
Yeah, 5 was, I mean, most Euro games when you go to 5 players just don't work that well in my opinion. Especially like in this game, you can trigger a thing that another thing happens, and then you might score a couple of monuments. Then multiple people get to make choices out of that. And then on your turn, you may just insert a new tile into your device. I guess I should mention the coolest part of the game is the main mechanism is the device you're using, and there's kind of a track that when you load it, you get to put the tiles on there, and then as you load it, the tiles fall out one side, and then you put new tiles in the other side. And then depending on where it ends up, you can do the actions. Like there's 5 slots, and so there's 4 different actions in there, and those are upgradable. There's lots of like little combo wombo things. I definitely wanted to play it a second time close to the first time, and I had a much better time with it.
I think one of the hardest things about getting it played the first time is it is very much a game where there's a rush to do a lot of things at the beginning, and because things depreciate in value as you play, as you start to figure out the game deeper into it, you're like, oh, well, I missed my opportunity to do stuff. Now, to Rob, the teacher's defense, he was very explicit at the beginning about, hey, I did this wrong last time, you should do this. I think that was valuable, but I don't know. I guess my main takeaways the first time were I think there's a lot of cool mechanisms with how things work, but I just don't know how well it translated into the game on first playthrough. But the components are super cool. I mean, how often do you play games with magnets and springs and metal? And they were all in there. So
I mean, ultimately, it's the game that after I played it, I thought the most about afterwards, whether good or bad. Like, I want to play it some more because I just keep thinking about it and the different ways you can approach it. So.
I definitely want to play it again as well. I got one other one that I want to talk about. So I haven't been getting a lot of games to the table either. But so it's Patzcuaro, and this is the second of the 3 games I mentioned probably several podcasts ago now. But I bought 3 games on Kickstarter that were by Latin American designers. So this is by Ruben Hernandez Santillan, and it is Detestable Games. And so what you're doing in Patzcuaro is it's a rondel, and depending on how many players you are, it determines how many tiles exist. And essentially there are cards out, and each tile has an action. So you move 1 to 3 spaces, you skip over other people's tokens when they're there, and largely it is you trading cards in that meet certain criteria to pick up other cards that are there, and then you're building kind of a little ofrenda for Day of the Dead, and that's how you're going to score your points. So you're building it's 4 cards on the bottom, 3 in the middle row, and 2 on the top. And so on your bottom row, you're going to take 3 of the different icons, and cards are largely just made up of different icons on them. So they vary in the amount that are on there and what's on them. But on the bottom row, you're going to count 3 total icons across those 4 cards, and each icon will earn you 1 point of those 3 things you choose. On the second level, you're going to choose 2 icons, and each icon will count as 2 points for each you play. And on the top row, where there's 2 cards, you're going to count 1 icon, and each of those icons that appears is worth 3 points. So there's also 3 gold cards that provide a ton of points, probably about half that you earn. And so it's all kind of a management of keeping the cards in your hand. They're going to let you pick up cards as you move across actions, while also consistently taking the actions that allow you to play cards down on your altar. At first, I thought, so I've played it, I think, 3 times now. I thought the altar actions were just better than everything else. But if you don't put yourself in a position to be able to score well for the cards you lay down, you don't actually end up doing much better, which I think is a really fun balance that I guess I didn't realize really existed there the first time. So it is super light. I think BGG gives it a 1.6 out of 5 for weight, and it takes like 20 minutes to play. So I think it's quick. There's definitely some strategic depth to it, and there's a ton of goal cards, and all of the rondel spots are on dual-sided, and then they flip orientation and side. So the order at which the actions appear and which actions appear are going to vary pretty tremendously. So I like it. So I am 2 for 2 of the 2 games I've gotten from that. The other one I haven't played is Cosmic Cow Collectors. So I want to get that one a play and see how I feel about it. See if it goes a clean 3 for 3.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped to try that one just by the name alone.
I assume your aliens lifting cows.
That is exactly what you're doing. Yep. Tight. And so there's like an element of bluffing, and you can like I read the rules, and you like draw cards up to the number of what your card is. But if people know what your card is, then they can like attack and take that card, which is points from you. So you're trying to like mislead. I don't know. It sounds fun. That's the last of the 3 that I haven't played yet, so I'm eager to give it a try.
I have not played anything we haven't talked about on this podcast before physically for the first time. I did get to finally play White Castle, which I thought was a lot more fun than Red Cathedral. And there's a blue one too, right?
It's been a really long time since you played Red Cathedral, though. You should probably give that another go.
I should probably give it another go, but White Castle was more fun.
White Castle's
my first play, anyway.
I agree.
It was shorter. If I'm being honest, I've never been a rondel man as much as I'd like to be. Something about it. But I like circular kind of, having, like, I like the mechanism tonight where you kind of go around a certain way. But the two games I played that were brand new to me were both on Board Game Arena. Big surprise. I think I'm getting back into playing games live here in the next couple weeks. Kids old enough. But I've played several games now of Fromage, which, have you guys all gotten a chance to play that one yet? Rob's played a couple times, right?
Yeah, I like it. I'm just not a huge fan of it on BGA.
I am becoming... So it's a simultaneous action game. And so I like playing it turn-based on Board Game Arena because you generally take 2 turns and then come back and take 2 more turns. And the game moves pretty quick.
I just think there's a lot on BGA. There's just, for a game that I never have played in real life, there's just too much. Maybe
that's interesting. If you look at
the board's so small and there's all the little icons and stuff.
The first time I played, I was like, I don't like. It's too busy. I don't love this. But the more I play it, the more I'm like, oh, it's just so easy to play.
Yeah, I never get that feeling locked in until I've actually touched a board game. I feel like.
Yeah, you gotta touch the real thing.
I do.
Anyway, the board game Fromage, you're making cheese in 4 different areas of cheese makery. So competition, restaurant, the shop, and then special orders.
It's like Zolkin with lactose.
Yeah, kinda. It's kind of Zolkin-y. It's actually the fact that the board is spins around is the only thing that's Zolkin-y about it. You're not you are timing things out, kind of you basically play. You have 3 cheeses, which are your workers, and you can play them out for the power of 3, 2, or 1. And you have access to all of them on a turn. And then if I play one for 3, then I don't get that back for 3 rotations. But anything I play at power 1 is going to come right back to me. And in the game, you have 15 or so pieces of cheese to make. And the game ends when somebody makes all their cheese. And then what you're doing with your other stuff is collecting resources and trying to the other 4 aspects of the game are you collect special orders to fill for a points. You collect cows that let you build extra cheese. You collect berries that help you make jam and fruited cheese, and you score your jam cheese times your fruit cheese at the end of the game. And then you also collect structures to build like special abilities. And I thought the game seemed kind of basic. It's fun. It's like a point salad with the 4 quadrants of the board. There's 4 mini games on how to score there too. But where it really cracked open up for me, and so I just highly recommend if you're going to be playing Fromage, just start day 1 with this aspect of the game. Your 4 structures that you can build are pre-printed on your board, but there's a bunch of extra structure tiles, and you can draft them, and then you can choose which one of your printed ones to replace. So you can leave ones that, if you like them. And I've had way more fun playing the game when I have a strat to go for with my structure setup. Also, Rob and I played it 2-player, and it was I never felt the heat for cheese placement. But in a 3 and 4-player game, you have to start making more and more interesting choices as the game goes on because that cheese board fills up so thick with all the cheese people have been making.
And the cheese is workers. The workers, or
so your workers are you have a yellow cheese worker, a white cheese worker, and a blue cheese worker, and those are the types of cheese you can make with those workers. But then once you make a cheese with a worker, it stays on the board forever, and the worker comes back.
Okay.
So yeah, making cheeses is but each worker can only make one type of cheese.
Get me in.
Yeah, it's fun. Well,
I'll play.
I'm finishing a couple of games off right now, and then when that ends, I'll invite you guys to a game.
I'm pumped to get that in my grubby little hands.
Speaking of Zolkin, I just got done playing a game of Zolkin with Rob on BGA, and it's always enough time between my Zolkin plays that I do not remember how to score points, and I don't understand how you score points in that game. Like,
it's hard.
I mean, there's a lot of different ways.
So I got the second highest skull, and then I was the top of a track, and you guys doubled me in points. I just don't understand when it happens. When do the points happen in that game?
There are 3 ways to score points, and you have to just choose one. One is to get as many skulls as possible and just put them all on that track.
That's what I did.
Yep.
Okay.
And in that move, what you're balancing is it's easy to get skulls, it's easy to place the skulls, but you have to have a lot of workers, but you also have to be able to feed them. So making sure you don't run out of corn is important for that. The other way to score points is just to build a bazillion buildings, and generally speaking, you are just going to whip up your resource production or your corn production, and then use the spot on the board that lets you trade corn for resources. And then I think the third way to get points is go your own way and try to kind of do a little bit of both, and that's the hardest way to play.
I think that Zolkin is a game that I feel like I'm on the precipice of really liking, but I just haven't played it enough / don't understand it enough because I've really only played
hard.
that BGA. Mine's the first time I played it.
It has some super deep in the streets strategies. There's tons and tons of things you can go out there and look at, but you can do the skulls. I only had 4 workers. Sometimes there's strategies where you want to crank out 6. There's one called Big Corn where
Big Corn.
Where you just you get the technologies that give you so much corn and you just get tons of corn and you go to that space where you can trade corn into everything else. The thing is sometimes when I try some of these wacky, super specific strategies, you swing and just miss and score 5 points. It's completely possible. You could screw it up. I was I haven't played Zolkin in a while. My first 2 tiles I kept both gave me skull technology bumps, so I'm just gonna do a bajillion skulls.
That's what last time I played. That's what happened to me.
I want to play Zolkin IRL soon to reinforce what I remembered from BGA. So let's make that happen sometime soon because I really want to try it again.
I can make that happen. Yeah. I love Zolkin.
I also love Zolkin. Not as much as Rob though. Rob loves Zolkin more than I do.
It was in my top 10, I think.
It was.
Yeah. So I do have a couple more. They're all real small.
I have one small one to talk about too. Why don't you do yours first?
My small one that is not an expansion is called Anarchy Pancakes. And this was the Dungeons Gates Game of the Week. And it is by Exploding Kittens. And my son actually bought this game with his own money, with his birthday money. We went and played it. If you played Spot It, it's Spot It. But it's aggressive, fast-paced Spot It. Which is kind of fun. And this is actually designed by Eric M. Lang, so it's very similar to Blood Rage, I think. No, I'm just kidding.
I thought you were going to say the drafting or something is like Blood Rage.
No, you basically just flip it over. So you have all these pancakes with toppings on them, and you flip them all over at the same time. And then there's one in the middle. If you have a symbol that matches on one of your pancakes, and it matches somebody else's pancake, any symbol on any of theirs, you can flip it over and put it on theirs. And then if they start stacking up, you might grab a whole stack of 4 and put it on somebody else's. You can never stack on your own. And when you win the round, you're out of your own pancakes. You get a little piece of butter. And the first person to get 2 butters wins. The game lasts 10 minutes. We played it over Mother's Day and had a blast. I played it with Bo. And he's taught his friends and his little cousins and stuff. So Anarchy Pancakes, super cheap. If you Spot It. It's a no-brainer. It was a fun, crazy time, and it's a real small box. So, and it has a bunch of toppings on it that I would not want to eat on a pancake.
Okay, what?
Or anything.
Top 3 pancake toppings. Go.
Oh, I mean,
toppings are things you could put inside a pancake too.
Things you put on top of a pancake.
Oh, on top, maple syrup.
Yep.
Ugh, I hate syrup.
That's number 1 for me.
0.
Syrup's gross.
0?
Minus 50.
That's the most normal pancake.
You know what? I'm gonna go out. I'm just gonna say this as the biggest contrarian on this podcast. Rob's absolutely right. Maple syrup belongs on pancakes.
How do you not like maple syrup?
It's gross.
I don't like syrup.
I don't like syrup either. Yeah.
Okay. Otherwise, I'd say strawberries and whipped cream.
Bananas I like on top of pancakes too.
I also like chocolate chips
on top.
I like butter on my pancakes.
I'm a butter
butter
guy. Yeah.
and butter. I mean, the classic growing up for me was just butter and
what about
syrup.
peanut butter? I know that's pretty polarizing.
I would eat peanut butter on a pancake. That's good.
I put peanut butter on pancakes.
I would never do that, but I would eat it.
You know what ends up like touching like pancakes when I make a breakfast too, and like you eat breakfast and you make like a bunch of different things all at once, and you kind of like eat like just a bite of everything. So like so I don't mind getting like some green chili hot sauce on like the side of a pancake or something too. You know, like that was sitting on my hash brown or eggs.
My grandpa put mustard on his pancakes.
I've never seen anybody do that
That's
before.
interesting.
Put a sausage right on top of there.
He put mustard on his pancakes and ketchup on his eggs.
I know a lot of
eggs
I know a lot of people do
I think
that,
that's somewhat normative.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of everything bagel seasoning and a sausage patty in a sandwich with the pancakes.
That's good.
Yep.
That sounds good.
It's tight.
Everything sounds good to me right now, as I am currently.
Did you forget to eat lunch?
No, I'm just in a diet plan for the challenge that I'm doing now for my gym, and I've been eating lots of different interesting foods, and it's all been good, but nothing like, oh, I want that bad right now. So
everything sounds good to me because I
sounds-
didn't eat dinner.
pancake sounds real good right now.
I'm gonna go home and make a quesadilla, I think.
The two other ones I want to talk about are expansions for games we've already talked about. One is World Wonders, the Mundo Wonders pack. If you like World Wonders, just buy this.
Is it just more wonders?
It's like $15. It's just more wonders, which is the best part of the game. And it comes with a different way to play with them. You can play with the wonders where they have cards that just add to it, or you can play with the Mundo ones where they do different end game scoring things, which are cool. I have not played the Mundo way yet, but I'm going to try that next. But who doesn't want just more wonders with their stuff? It's great. That game needs to come out more often. I played it the other day with the expansion, and we had a blast. The last one I want to talk about is Kabuto Sumo Total Mayhem. This is, if you were to ask Bo, this is in his top 5 games. I'm sure we play this all the time.
How often do you think Bo's list changes amongst top 5 games?
Not that often, probably. Like if you were to go to his legacy top 5 games, there's certain ones that he just pulls out all the time. And this is one that he would definitely.
Unmatched is in his top 5?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Thunder Road.
Thunder Road is. I'll ask him. We should come up with a list, and I'll ask him to. It could probably be different. but I would say Kabuto Sumo, Thunder Road, Unmatched.
Crouch Couch.
Necromolds.
Necromolds. Necromolds is wild.
That we don't even own. But they have a booth at Gen Con, and Bo and I are going to Gen Con, so that'll be an interesting experience. This is the first time that I've pre-bought some ticketed events. So experiencing Gen Con as a dad with their son will be a much different experience.
Are you going to do that one wacky thing everybody always tries to do?
True Dungeon?
Yeah, because that would be a cool thing to do.
I was going to, but they say you have to be 13 plus to do it. And I was getting mixed feelings if I don't want to ruin someone's experience by taking a 10-year-old into there,
Well, yeah.
And it's also fairly expensive. So if it was a thing where I was going with a group of people and we bought the whole experience out, that'd be fine. I think that'd be
you have
fine.
to do it with a group of other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go do a True Dungeon with him and then have something go badly and we ruin somebody else's experience.
Yeah.
Potentially.
That makes sense.
It's all fine because you're going to spend the entire time at the Necromolds booth playing Necromolds.
Right.
Yeah.
We did pick a different one. We are doing an escape room kind of thing that says it's for kids and up. And then we're doing the Kabuto Sumo tournament. And we're doing Warhammer 40K laser tag, which
sounds tight.
That sounds pretty sweet.
Yep.
So those are the ones I can remember. I want to go to Rolling Dice and Taking Names podcast.
I hope someone shows up in a laser tank.
Has a I'm definitely excited for him to watch the costume parade too. But Rolling Dice and Taking Names podcast, they do a event on Thursday nights at the Spaghetti Factory where you pay, you get to eat at the Spaghetti Factory, and then they do this tournament of oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of the game. The winner gets to say whether the game is dice in a bowl or gladiators in an arena, because that's the theme of the game, but it's really just throwing dice into a bowl. And I can't remember the name of the game for the life of me right now. Sorry, Rolling Dice and Taking Names. let me think of that, and I'll hit it back later in the episode. But yeah, it should be fun. But Kabuto Sumo, Total Mayhem, basically just adds in like a table and like they're like supposed to be like tacks that you throw on like on the wrestling ring, but they're like thorns, you know. And then there's like a coffin and a ladder. It's like there's all these accessories, and basically you draw 2 of them and you flip one to each side, and like they're double sided. So like the table, one of the tables was if you knock the table over, you win the game. The other side was like at the end of your turn, you have to stack one of your things up on the table, and if you ever have less, like you get to take all the stuff on the table. So every item has like 2 different uses. So if you want to like spice up your Kabuto Sumo game with like some like extra funny props and things, it was pretty good.
Sounds like it makes the game like more chill.
More chill.
Yeah, that's the point of the expansion, right? Total Mayhem.
It's called Total Mayhem.
Sounds like it makes it like a more chill experience. I have gotten a chance to play the newest Next Station game, Next Station Paris, a number of times. And I think I like it more than I like Tokyo. And I like London the best still, I think. So if you guys are Next Station fans, all of them are on BGA. That's the bomb. But they're flipping right where you're drawing like subway lines in a gridded out representation of London, Tokyo, or Paris. London is the main one, the main squeeze. Tokyo is quite a bit more complex, and I don't think that makes it more fun. And then Paris is, I think, intended to be a less complex version. However, I feel like it's the same complexity as London, but it's easier to draw a line every turn without getting stuck. But I think it's a little bit harder to pull your scoring together.
Funny you say that. I had like 4 turns in a row where I couldn't draw a line in our last game.
There's a ton of wild spaces on the Paris board.
I honestly didn't know what the difference was. I was just kind of playing it like I knew the rest of the other games. Is it similar?
Yeah, it's basically London where like there's like a little bit less. I think like the pencil powers and like stuff like that are a little bit less complex. But there's like the wild stations have like a card where if you draw into a wild station that turn, you can continue out into the next station to see, like, if you plan things nice, you can get like a little bit extra movement. And they're like, in the center, instead of there being like the center where you're meeting everything, it's just one big wild space that you get to draw in and out of like a different direction. So you can really hub up there.
You score extra points for how many hubs you get into
I think so,
places
yeah.
too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was like a 9 banger on there.
Yeah.
You get like 9 into one spot.
It's interesting. I like it. I think if I was going to get 2 Next Station games, it would be London and Paris, based on my plays of the 3.
Do you really feel like you need more than 1 Next Station game though?
No, I think London's awesome, but for me, Next Station, like, it's like if there was like a pack where I got like all 3 of those games together, like Russian Railroads became Ultimate Railroads. Like, it'd be fun just to have the pads of the different, like, cause you just need 3 different pads. Like, you have all the same other components, like other than like objective cards and stuff. But yeah,
Strike was the name of the game I'm thinking of.
Strike.
Yeah. Throw dice in an arena in order to be the last gladiator standing.
I would like to.
And so the joke is, that's the theme, but it's just really dice in a bowl. So whoever wins the game for the year gets to say whether Strike is dice in a bowl or gladiators in arena. Depends if you're a theme guy or not.
What would you choose, Rob?
I think I would definitely do. I'm a theme guy, but I think I'd do dice in a bowl.
You know what? I'm not a theme guy, but I think I'd go gladiators in an arena.
I would definitely do dice in a bowl.
But what's easy? It's easy for me to envision my themeless, like my painted on theme as the like. This is why I'm not really a theme guy. Is because like when I'm playing gladiators in the bowl with my dice, it's just so easy for me to envision them as gladiators that it doesn't matter to me that the theme's not rich.
I think you just split the difference because it's gladiators in the arena, right, and dice in the bowl. You said gladiators in the bowl. You're just finding the middle.
Yeah, exactly. That's par for the course for my philosophy of life.
Daddy Cam's philosophy is definitely like buttons undone, heart medication, glasses.
Did I tell you? Did I tell you I've been thinking about
sleeves
getting
rolled up?
So I'm such a one button down sort of guy, and now I'm getting like kind of old and daddish. I've been thinking about getting like a chain.
You should get a chain.
Like an old man chain.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a little cross on there.
I think like I thought about that, and I don't think I want anything dangling. You know, I think I just want the chain.
Just the hair is dangling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then maybe if I like that, then I could get like a big fat gold ring with like a red stone on it.
Oh yeah. Couple rings.
Like I want to look like I smoke stogies, but I don't smoke stogies.
You should start.
Nah, I smoked cigarettes when I was young, and that was so dumb. And I did it for quite a while, and I quit cold turkey, and I don't have to go back. And I don't think I want to put any more undue damage on my lungs and heart. So, but
you got heart pills now.
I do have heart medication now. I take 25 milligrams or micrograms or something of metoprolol for what they call my condition inappropriate sinus tachycardia. And what that means is sometimes my heart beats a little fast, but it's not dangerous, and they don't know why. But it just taking it just helps me feel a little more chill. For those of you guys who wanted to know what heart medication I'm taking.
Yeah. It's actually just gummies,
damned.
by the way.
What's that?
It's actually just gummies. He just takes gummies. He just calls it heart medication.
Exactly.
Yeah, my heart medication.
Yeah.
All right, well, tonight on the podcast, we played Anunnaki, Dawn of the Gods. It came out in 2023. It's currently ranked 3,687th overall. You're developing your alien civilization among ancient human tribes, gods, and space travel. The designer is Simone Luciani and Danilo Sabia. Artist is Paolo Vicenzi and Yara Zambrano. And it is published by Cranio Creations. It plays 1 to 4 players, best at 3, 60 to 120 minutes. 13 plus is the age, and weight is 3.51 out of 5. In Anunnaki, it is a area control 4X kind of game, but more with the Euro flair, I'd say. On your turn, you're all in this game. Everyone is a different god, and you have some units on the board and some buildings on the board as you build them out, and you can basically the main mechanism of the game is on your personal action board. You can move your pawn into one of the 10 actions and do the action. If you move your pawn to an adjacent action on your board, you get to put a cube down, and maybe you get some mana crystals. If you surround a minor god token with 3 different cubes, you get to summon a minor god. And if you summon your major god, you have to have all 5 cubes around him in the center. The different actions are you're moving your troops around the board. You can portal your troops to different planets because there's spoiler alert, this game has a big table presence. There is a main board in the middle that has Gaia or Earth on it, and then everyone has their own little planet board in front of them, and then everyone also has their own player board. The game has like I said, 10 total actions. You can move, you can portal. There are blue and red actions. The red ones are slightly better. There's also double sides to all of the actions, and when you upgrade them, the red ones cost more to upgrade than the blue ones. You can take a commerce action. The commerce action will give you these tokens. You need to fulfill and spend the goods, and that's kind of the economy part of the game. If you want to play an economic game, then you basically spend the goods and you get stuff. You can do the harvest action, which gives you the goods to spend on the different other actions. You can do a creation action, which just gives you more resources. There's a settlement action. As you build settlements, you're going to uncover these little symbols, and then you're going to get all the income from those if you take the settlement action. And the domination action, there's one of 4 different things every game. They're separated between 3 different score tracks and then the domination track. And basically you evaluate your goal. So maybe it's for every 2 areas you control, or for every shrine you control, you get to move up on this domination track on the bottom of the board. There's also some mana actions you can do after you do your main action. That lets you build, get more troops, upgrade your stuff, get weapon cards.
Take other actions too.
You can take other actions you didn't already take that turn. So you do a main action, a mana action if you have mana crystals, an additional action, which lets you summon a major god, minor god, and then fulfill a contract, or fulfill a contract. And then if you are in the same space as somebody, you'll battle somebody. The battle system is pretty straightforward. It's all based on playing cards. And all of these actions have a tie-in to a track on the board. Like when you upgrade, you'll move along this upgrade track. When you fight, you'll move along a fight track. And when you complete the merchant stuff, you'll move on a track for that too. And those all contribute to endgame scoring. It's a huge, busy-looking game. Let's get to the table and come back, and we'll find our thoughts on Anunnaki, Dawn of the Gods.
High five, Freddy told me everybody slide. DJ spinning, I said, my. Flash is fast, flash is cool. Francois, c'est pas, flash ain't no do. And you don't stop, sure shot. Go out to the parking lot and you get in your car and drive real far. And you drive all night and then you see a light and it comes right down and lands on the ground. And out comes a man from Mars. And you try to run, but he got a gun. And he shoots you dead and he eats your head. And then you're in the man from Mars. You go out at night, eating cars. You eat Cadillacs, Lincolns too, Mercuries and Subaru. And you don't stop, you keep on eating cars. Then when there's no more cars, you go out at night and eat up bars where the people meet. Face to face, dance cheek to cheek. One to one, man to man, dance toe to toe. Don't move too slow, cause the man from Mars is through with cars. He's eating bars, yeah, wall to wall, door to door, hall to hall. He's gonna eat them all. Rapture, be pure, take a tour through the sword of strain to rain, pain to train. You'll be singing in the rain. Say, don't stop, do punk rock.
And we're back. Campbell, this is your first time playing Anunnaki, Dawn of the Gods. We told you we were playing a Luciani game tonight. What was your initial thought?
So I came in with not the highest expectation I've ever had for a Looch game. Mainly because when I heard it was called Anunnaki, I was like, this doesn't sound like a Luciani game. It just sounds like a game where you like go into where you go on like a planet and like destroy each other with mythological gods, and Anubises and Odins and stuff. And I was exactly right about like what type of game it was. Like when I heard we were playing Anunnaki and it was a Luciani game, I assumed it would be like a Euro thing and it just had like kind of a goofy name. But no, it sounded exactly like what type of game it was. I had a good time playing it. I got kind of down in the middle because I was just thinking that it was way too easy to stall out. But I ended up being the only one who stalled out, and I came back and won it. So it was a fun time. I'd play it again. And it's not really the type of game I normally try to go play.
I think my first impressions about playing this game were that it was significantly less complicated than it looks. When you first look at everything and you're setting things up, there's just kind of a moment you're like, what did I get myself into? But it's definitely not that complicated. So it was, I don't know, I had fun the first time I played it. I had fun playing it again tonight. So it was... I guess I had a favorable first impression when I first played it.
Yeah, something about this one when you guys got it out at, was it Cardboard Caucus or the convention we were at? I think I had an opportunity to play with you guys, and I was kind of just like, this doesn't really look like, I don't know. It doesn't look like something that would really appeal to me. The God stuff I don't really totally love all the time. It's kind of those games feel samey.
Yeah, mythology stuff is like that with me too. Like zombies and Cthulhu, like they all kind of was like, oh, another one.
Yeah, like I was just like, this is probably fine, and I passed on it to go. I don't know what I was. Probably Remy was there or whatever. And so the first time I got to play it, it's a little bit different than what I was expecting with how you do the actions. So that was surprising, but we'll kind of flesh out the rest of it. But it was okay.
Yeah, I originally saw it on the Kickstarter, and I backed it on there. And I originally was just backing it because I wanted all the other Cranio Creation add-on bonus stuff for all their other games. And I wasn't actually even going to get this game because I was like, I don't know. It didn't really appeal to me at all. And then I just bid on it because I was like, this is a weird game.
But see, it's decisions like that got you to be a top Kickstarter backer.
Oh, buddy. Yeah, unfortunately, I backed something today, and then I got an email saying I was a super backer, and then I'm like, uh-oh.
Did you end up doing the group one?
I have not.
Okay.
I will do the group one if we want, if I get a couple more people. So, and that's for that new Reiner Knizia game that looks kind of pretty and cool, called
Rebirth.
There you go. I couldn't even remember the name of it. But Rebirth is using the rewood pieces from Kuna Ora, which is kind of cool. But yeah, that was my initial thought. I kind of took a flyer on it, and then I was like, I ended up getting the one that came with like all the expansions because I was like, well, you want more gods. And then I've played with all the gods, and we played with a couple of and then the 3 expansions have a couple modules. And tonight we played with the mythological creatures, which I like, and I like mythological creatures, so why not throw them in there? And they kind of act like the Blood Rage monsters, where when you get one, you put your ring on it. But interesting enough, there's kind of a balance with those of, do you wait to try to get one? Because when you acquire it, you have to have some requirements to take it. And then for the rest of the game, he's yours, and they're like a 2-power unit. But then if you take it too early, you might not get any points out of it. Or you wait and you score some points for it later on. So that's kind of an interesting balance, I think. Because you instantly get points when you buy it. It's not like an end game point thing. And then the other thing we played with was like prelude cards, which were just kind of like starter cards. And I think you ended up, at least I did, I ended up with a little more stuff than I think you normally would.
The first couple turns seemed really big because we had extra actions from
well, not only that, you get those one-time actions in the cards too. I think I would always play with those. Those
seemed
were
to
fun.
jumpstart the game.
Yeah.
And
I definitely don't think I'd want to play without those again.
Yeah, those were cool.
We also played with the 3 cards for Atlantis.
The artifacts?
The artifacts, yeah.
Yeah, well, I specifically threw in the 2 artifacts that came with that expansion because I had never played with those before. But those, I think, just are always in the mix. I just had tended to always play, like, seems like every time I played this game, the same artifacts have come out. So
Okay.
I wanted to get some new blood in there.
That's an optional rule, right? Artifacts?
No, they're always in the game.
They're always in the
But
game.
they're not necessarily those pieces and cards.
Yeah, there's just more. There's like, I think in the base game, there's 5 artifacts.
They're just like
or
little
something.
tiles, though, in that, though, aren't they? They're not like big cards and minis. Like
They're all the big cards.
Okay.
Depending on the artifact, they may or may not come with an extra piece to them.
For some reason I was thinking that was a module, so.
No,
Yeah.
it's always there.
Makes sense.
It's like one of the main benefits of going to take Atlantis early on, which Atlantis is on the Gaia board. It has these hidden, like the civilization tokens that are face down, that when you go in there, you have to pick a weapon to fight and then flip it over and fight it. But not only that, it has a god token on it, which adds more power to it. And so it's harder to fight those things. So the benefit is they have 2 shrine symbols, which shrines are good for a few things during the game and for end game scoring. And then you get to pick one of these cool artifacts. There's 2 Atlantis spots, and there's 3 artifacts, so you get to pick from those whenever you take one of those over. The first 2 people that take over the spots do. I think my biggest pro for this game is the action selection is super unique. I like the fact that you can't do something the same like twice in a row, but it's always okay, how can I chain these actions together to where I want to put cubes down so I can summon my guys? Because that's like a huge thing too, is getting your guys out, but also being efficient with your actions. Or do you pick up your pawn token and jump all the way over on the board to do an action you really need to do?
I definitely really like the utility there, that you don't find yourself permanently stuck in a place where you're taking bad actions, because you can always just jump somewhere else. Now, you're not necessarily going to get the crystal benefit from laying those cubes down, and you're not progressing the end of the game. But I do think that's a really interesting way to handle that. So I agree. I think that's a really engaging part of this game.
Well, also the fact that is one of the end game triggers is a big thing.
How many of the actions repeat? Because several of them are in there multiple times, right? Because there's 2 mines, there's 2 moves.
There's 2 moves.
Is that it? That's the only ones that repeat?
I believe so.
Okay, of 10, so 40% of the actions are duplicates.
Yeah.
But one is better for each of them.
The red ones are always better.
But for like, you start with a better move and a not better move, and you start with a better mine and a not better mine.
Yeah.
Is that true? Okay.
Yep. And then one of the mana actions is you can upgrade them, and then whenever you upgrade, that'll move along a track. That's another thing is like if you, the big strategy of the game, I think, is to decide one or two of those tracks you want to push, which means you're either going to be fighting a lot, you want to upgrade a lot of tiles, or you want to do a lot of contracts. And then whatever that end game trigger is, you want to try to pump that out too, because you can get a lot of end game points that way.
I do really like the versatility in that. Now, granted, the 2 times I've played this, I didn't think about this until actually just a little bit ago, but both times the bottom domination track was shrines. And so it'd be really interesting to see a different thing end up on that domination track. Like, for instance, for every 3 troops, you get a bump. It'd be, I don't know, that I feel like that would change the game a lot, and both of my plays have felt really similar in that was the same tile there. So I'm really curious to see how that would feel different over the course of the game.
I believe my first game, it was troops on the bottom.
Yeah.
Which meant that everybody was much higher up on that track.
Yeah.
Just in general, because shrines you can fight over. Troops you have them.
Yeah, once you get up like a critical mass, you could just kind of not spam that action, but if you wanted to, you could do that every other one to get up there. And I like that halfway up that track is that lightning bolt, and you have to cross that before you can get to the top tier of any of the other 3 tracks, which when that hits, that is also the other end game trigger as well. For as big and crazy as this game is, tonight, our podcast games always go longer than normal, I think. This is by far the longest game of it I think I've played. For as crazy and big as it is, this game does not lie when it says 60 to 120 minutes in general. Like, especially if you know the game, like this is a 90-minute 4-player game, I think. I mean, or definitely under 2 hours. There could be some, like there is a lot of setup, which I guess would kind of be a conduit. But the playtime, I think, for a game this big and meaty feels really good.
I really like we talk about games that have kind of like the wobble, the ability to do things even if you're not able to necessarily do that in what you're choosing to do. And because there are so many auxiliary actions that you're able to take over the course of the game through using mana crystals or fulfilling contracts, there's so many ways to kind of back into something that's valuable. And I also like in the fact, I guess it's just the one track, but there's incentives for pushing up that domination track faster. There's points tucked into there. And then there's also rewards for being further on each of the in-game scoring tracks. Not only the multipliers higher, but also you just get flat points for being towards the end. So I think that there's definitely a lot of ability to kind of find new ways to get into the actions, even if you're not necessarily in a position to take that action and get crystals because you're moving further away from it.
I like that the actions are not your standard, like for the most part, not your standard kind of actions, in that the stuff that you would normally do in a area control game is on the mana action. So like you're upgrading and your people and things like that, they're auxiliary action that you have to kind of think about. You get them from contracts too, and not I just go take an action and get 3 people. You go take an action and do something else that could get you people or could get you something else, but then you have to go do mana things to get your cards to fight or whatever. So
no, I completely agree. I think that's a really unique element to this game, that a lot of those things, I mean, is it more than just upgrades and troops, but largely those are purely from mana actions.
Putting houses on the board.
Yeah, buildings. Yeah, definitely, and, which is one of the main scoring.
The cards, buildings, troops, and upgrades.
Yeah.
And those are basically only from really the majority of them you get from the mana actions. Sometimes you get them from bonuses on the board. Sometimes you get them from bonuses on the contract.
Your building income phase you get troops from as well. But other than that, though, no, I agree. I hadn't really thought about how core tenets of the things you're trying to do for scoring are not your actual actions. I think that's awesome, actually.
Yeah, and that makes getting mana crystals really important. And that's a cool balance between if you want to summon your god early, you're not getting mana crystals. Mm-hmm. And also, the way to get the most mana crystals is to go around the outside of the board, because you get 2, and you don't summon minor gods that way either. So that's a nice balance of like, do I want to summon gods? Do I want to get crystals to do these other actions? Which way do I want to do it? And my unique power, I played one of the expansion gods tonight, was like I could do the main action, the crystal action, and the additional actions in any order, which was kind of cool. I don't know how often I actually did do that, but
The order can matter.
Yeah, I would have chosen doing a recorder a lot of times.
It matters a lot, and especially because you can. I guess before I get too far down the road, my pro for that is the asymmetrical player powers are cool. Everyone has a cool god power, and when you summon the god onto the board, you unlock the second half of their power, which is also neat.
I completely agree there. I really like it when games give you powers that you feel like as soon as you like acknowledge what it is that it does for you, you're like, wow, that's so good. I know Marco Polo is usually the example we come up with there, but Oak gives me similar vibes there too. Just the things that you can do seem to be really powerful, and they kind of lend. At least the group that I was this time. Every time I passed over a crystal, I was able to pick it up and move it, which I got. Both of the gods I got out by just moving crystals, the cubes to places that allowed me to get those. But also, I could get crystals on every single action if I planned things right, because I could always move things out to do that. So I think those player powers are potent enough that they really do make a difference in the decisions that you make, and I think that that's a lot of fun in this game as well.
I think everything is just kind of fun to do in this one, which is cool. There's a couple actions that feel... There are a couple actions that when I did them, I was like, that wasn't enough. Like the trade action, like I trade one thing for two things. But most of the time, you get to kind of do some stuff, no matter what you're taking. My favorite thing about the game was feeling the squeeze of not like taking a path towards some things I want to do and away from other things I want to do. Every time I turned my action selector, I felt happy because I knew what I was going to get, and I felt sad because I knew what I wasn't going to get. So any game where I feel happy and sad at the same time, it's like a double whammy of enjoyment because I feel it's like getting to add your feelings together to create a super feeling. It's like the net value of 10 sad plus 10 happy is 20 enjoyment.
No, I think it's actually 0.
No.
They cancel each other out.
No, because in my philosophy of games,
I get it.
Everything you feel is you score it as absolute value. So sadness is not a negative. Sadness 10 is 10 real units, and happiness 10 is 10 real units. And so I get a 20 out of the game. And so anytime you make tough choices. And this game is like kind of all of those, like what you're actually doing out on the map feels kind of like Scythe and Blood Rage together a little bit, or like any of those. Like it kind of feels like Scythe and an amalgamation of Eric Lang games all together. But on your board, your resource game, your mana game, unlocking your special abilities game, what action you're going to take when, all of those are a trade-off, and I love trade-offs, so having 4 of those is cool. So I really enjoyed the action selection of this one, which I think everybody already said, but that's why.
I mean, that's definitely the biggest draw. I also think combat is cool. Everyone has the same set of cards, except for everyone has one different
there's only
fighting
one
card.
Different,
I think there's only one
it
different.
It kind of seemed like it.
Yeah. So everyone had a card that was like specific to like their god, but the rest of the cards were all different. And you have to buy the advanced ones, which are red, and you always have the blue ones. But I like the fact that you just can't continually attack over and over and over again unless you spend time to buy the red advanced action cards, because you can't win an attack if you're the attacker and didn't play a red card. And it's neat how you then... You buy them with the mana crystal and they cost metal, and you get like 2 of them with the crystal action. But then some of them, when you play them, cost no metal, 1 metal or maybe 2 metal. And then they all add a power to your attack. And then they all add a benefit if you win. So it's usually points and then some amount of movement up the battle track for scoring at the end of the game. So I think all those things and the decisions there are fun too. And sometimes it's like mind games with the other players, like how many have you bought, how many cards do you have, kind of a thing, because you kind of have an idea of things they can play. And there's certain cards that can do things like negate your weapon you played or negate the god power, which we haven't talked about that, but your regular follower guys are 1 power. your like demigods or minor gods are 2 power, and your big god is 3 power for fighting. And it is also for harvesting resources. So when you harvest a resource, which is another unique thing in this game, I don't know that I've ever played a game where when you harvest resources, they kind of go away. So
I really like that about
that's
this game.
definitely like in a 4X game, that's exploiting, right? We're exploiting the resources here on the planet. And so like I can go teleport over to Cam's planet and then mine some of his like wood, and then all of a sudden he has one less wood, or like one less time that his planet can be mined for wood, right? And then depending on the number of symbols there, if there's 3 symbols, you have to have 3 power. So either 3 little guys, a medium guy, and a little guy, or your god, and then you'll get 3 resources, and you cover one of them up. And next time you do it, you're only going to get 2 resources. And the third time you're going to do it, you're only going to get 1 resource. And then after that, you don't get anything. Originally, I was like, that seems really restrictive and terrible. But realistically, it's not. Like, I think it's just right, actually. It doesn't allow you to continually just crank out resources. It makes you move around and get them different places. And you can get them from different places, like doing contracts and things, too.
Losing combats.
Or losing combats, you get metal.
8 of them I got from losing combats.
Yeah, I whooped up on these guys fighting, especially Tim.
So, I don't know. There's just... I think that's a really unique aspect to this game that first I was like, I don't think I like that, but I really do.
I really enjoy that aspect of it too. It's you need to think about how many people you have in the area to be able to do that mining action, but also the longevity of how long you could benefit from them being there. And again, I agree with Rob completely. That's really unique, and I enjoy that part.
One more pro. I like how you have to set up the things you're doing, but they don't take very long to set up. Like if you need to go get a certain amount of something, you usually can find a way to do it in like 2 or 3 actions. I think any more than that in a game of this speed would just feel oppressive. I thought like I had kind of like a dry spell during the middle of the game, but it was actually pretty easy to get back on the horse. And so I thought recovery times would be much longer from like messing up like an order of operations of what actions I was going to take, or getting defeated in a sad battle. So I don't know. I think it all worked pretty well.
All right, we'll kick some cons off. I'll start with one. The first time I played this game, Rob opened the box and everything was spilled all over the place. It has an insert that is...
So this is a Rob-related con, then.
I mean, we're talking about the Kickstarter edition, the big box.
The big box, yeah. The insert looks like it's not great.
Yeah, it's very generic, and it's the kind where like the vacuum seal lids don't really stay on that well. Like they don't snap in, so it's easy for stuff to rattle around. I just rubber banded them together and fixed it.
Yeah, but if you get annoyed with turning your box over, this thing will just pile out into the bottom of the thing.
Well, there's also a lot of like weird shapes in the inserts and where you put things, and then there's empty spaces, and it just doesn't seem like there was a ton of thought put into how we're going to organize all these.
It feels
pieces.
like, oh, we're going to put like some card slots here, and then there's a bunch of extra room, so just fill it with holes. You know, like just make it empty so people can put stuff in here.
That was kind of it, yeah. I think my biggest con is there's a few different little gotcha rules that I continually forget to, like, unless you play this game all the time, every time I kind of teach the game, I kind of just flip through the rule book, which, like, for a game this huge, the rules are not that long. Like, they're not, and in general, it's a fairly good rule book. Sometimes it's hard to find exactly what I'm looking for, but now I've lost my thought completely. What was I talking about?
Like
you were talking about little rules that you forget.
There's little caveats to like all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so like at the end of the game,
you can't leave Atlantis was one.
Yeah, you can't leave it, which may or may not have given Cam the win, depending on what else he could have done. But and then we're like, well, does that really matter? And then we kind of thought about it, and Campbell, you could explain why you think that matters.
Well,
but
oh yeah, I guess I don't need to. I thought you were wanting me to do it right there. My bad.
Yeah, I mean, so one thing is, once you trigger the end of the game, no one can enter or leave Atlantis. Okay. Another one is when you do the mana action, it can't be the same action as you already did. Another one is when you do the upgrade action, it has to be something that's next to where your pawn currently is. Also, the non-first game rules for like the contracts are a little weird to remember. There's just lots of like little things, and I think if this game just had like a really good one-page player aid, it'd be real helpful to remember that, and it just doesn't.
Yeah, the player aid is like a 1 inch by half an inch piece of cardboard that's just like, here's the 5 steps that you do. On your turn.
Which is fine.
But it doesn't like explain them, it's just like a picture.
But as a pro, like on your board, it also shows you those same symbols on your board, which I think it kind of helps you remember. Now that I've seen that a few times, it's like here's part 1 of your turn, and here's part 2 of your turn, here's part 3, and then there's a fight, and then we check to see if this thing happens on the board.
Yeah, I would say
it could be better.
The iconography of the game, maybe not the iconography, but like how the game is laid out like that, like there's just some stuff, like some of these like tiny rules that you would expect to maybe be on a board, or how things kind of score is not there, and then sometimes it's there, and it's kind of weird. Just you would expect some of it to be there, but it's not, and it's like Walls of Atlantis is like a little bit weird. It just feels like it's not, the art is not quite
right. When you can't portal into Atlantis or out of Atlantis,
like you would think you would have like the portal sign with an X over it in Atlantis. So so like
there's some minor things they probably could have done to make it better.
Yeah, to catch the little rules, you could put them on the boards, and I think it would make a much better experience because you could see them instead of having to remember them in the rulebook.
Yep.
I was gonna con, like just a feeling I had when we were playing. Sometimes these short, like 2-hour 4X games seem like there's a lot to do when you first start playing them, and then there's not a lot actually going on with the game as you get more and more plays in. But I think that this one, what really helps is the fact that the scoring objectives get mixed up every time, and so does the layout of your little action selection board. If there was one more wrinkle that was just in the base game, I think that'd be really cool. But it seems like there's a ton of expansion content to let you do a bunch of different things when you play. But then I think about like other games like this, like I mentioned Blood Rage because it's kind of a similar amount of stuff going on, similar length game that seems like a similar amount of work to get out for how long you play. And I think there's more, like I always feel kind of bored by the end of Blood Rage because it's pretty light content wise, and this one is not. So I think I retract that con. I don't think I feel that way about this.
I got a couple things, I guess. One, and again, theme is never something that necessarily matters a ton to me, but there's definitely no connection between the action selection mechanism in this game and what the theme of the game is. How and why you're moving your action around and why that allows you to do what you're doing.
Actually, there is because you're sacrificing humans to summon your people according to the front page.
But how does it have to do with move?
And they're moving around you're moving around like a little demon star that I didn't know I was like playing with a Ouija board when we were playing this game, and now I have to go wash my hands in sulfur. I'm joking. I'm kidding. But that's what they said on the front page is like they're like moving this guy in his magic circle, and then like Zeus inhabits his body and explodes his brain or whatever, and then jumps down into Gaia to take over Atlantis.
Anyways, again, I don't really feel like there's a whole lot of connection between what you're doing on your board for your action selection and what it is that's happening. I mean, there's not, at least in the setup of the games that I've played, there's not any rhyme or reason for where the locations of the actions are located. It's just the way that it is set up. And so that feels kind of disconnected. I think also I really like the fact that the game changes a lot in which of the 4 scoring conditions aligns with which of the 3 bumps. but I feel like there is some inherent contradiction that exists in there. For instance, if the being in 2 territories, or every 2 territories, is the multiplier by the number of handshake icons, so the contracts you fulfilled, those aren't inherently related, I guess, in the fact that you're trying to get resources to fulfill those contracts. But sometimes I feel like there could be a disconnect in the way that those things are trying to multiply that could make your experience not be the best, depending on what other people are trying to do to you. So the fighting component of this could be more detrimental to you depending on if you just didn't lean in that way, because I very much feel upon a couple plays of this now, this is not a game that you should be a generalist in. This is something you should lean into pretty specifically, and it could align itself in a way that the way you're trying to score could just be the casualty of somebody playing a different way, and I don't know how I feel about that, if that makes sense.
I think you can be a generalist in this one. I've had success kind of doing a little bit of everything, but
I feel like a generalist at a lower player count when you're going to get those rewards for being further on the track when there's less people, less so when you get more people.
Yeah, but a lot of those, it really depends on how long the game goes. So, I mean, that's another thing, pro or con. The game is dependent on, you could have a game that is 14 turns because someone every turn just moves their thing 1 space. You could have a game that is way more than that, right? And I think the generalist is going to do better in the longer game, right? Because if everyone just kind of keeps going, you can do pretty much everything pretty well if you want to. You can have all your buildings out, and you can have a bunch of guys out, and then you can be far along on those, So, and I've seen that, and I've seen other games where we cranked through it really fast, and like you had to be like surgical on exactly what you wanted to do. So I think it just depends on the group dynamic and experience.
I think that's fair, and I agree with you. I guess it kind of depends on, a lot of variables in who you're playing with. I personally, upon playing this a couple times, and I was more fighty the first time, I feel like the fighting is less interesting than other aspects of this game, and I guess I feel like that can potentially negatively impact other people who are trying to do other things. And if you're somebody who likes to live in the world where I can just do what's going to maximize my situation, that could be a negative takeaway for you in that circumstance.
I think I agree with a lot of the negatives you guys have said. I have another one where you just can't get anything but the base game right now. I don't know if they're going to release the expansions in retail or not. I'm kind of happy that I got the big Kickstarter now. I didn't mention it. Capstone Games is doing this in the United States. So if you're getting it in the US, it'll be from Capstone. And do you guys have any more cons?
No.
Because I think I'll just jump into my final thoughts then and talk about the expansions, because I think those are cool. In case you want to, there are out on the BGG store, I think there are ways to get the whole shebang if you want. And to be honest, for a big game like this and all 3 expansions, the price point doesn't seem too crazy. People are asking maybe like $150 or something for that huge box. It's a lot of plastic and cardboard. So one of the expansions is, there's also the solo mode does come in the base game. I haven't tried it yet. I want to give it a shot because I think it could be a fun solo puzzle, actually. There's an expansion called Origins of the Gods. That one comes with a narrative campaign with 8 replayable scenarios. That is the thing that I want to try the most out of this, because I think there are completely different ways to play the games in these different scenarios. I'm not entirely sure because I've only skimmed the rule book and it's been a while, but I think could be cool to play. It also has 7 asymmetrical reward sets to the core game. So I think there are more tokens that, the end game score things that they were playing with. I think there's like 7 more of them that you could just throw in the base game and play those instead.
Oh, that's cool.
I thought that maybe they were just for the scenarios, but you may be able. I should maybe read that and maybe just throw them in the base game.
Yeah,
that's just more ways for scoring. The other ones are cool because who doesn't like more players? There's Journey of the Gods. It gives you an extra house, a 5th player, which I think I'd play this game at 5 if everyone knew it. I mean, I'd give it a shot. Gaia would probably be a pretty crazy.
Gaia was already a mess for us. So,
battle. But it also has a thing called Distant Planets, which I think are cool that I want to try. That are kind of like these one-shot places you can go and kind of fight off an AI thing off of there, and then other people can try to fight you off of there. But I think that's to counteract the 5th player. It gives you more places to maybe go. So Core Planets seem cool, or Distant Planets seem cool, and then the one we played the most of tonight was another extra house, mythical creatures, 2 extra artifacts with like little 3D minis, and then the Prelude cards, which I think we all agreed were probably like always play with cards.
For sure.
So those are all the expansions. Like I said, unfortunately, you can't get them right now, and the only thing I found on BGG was, hey, are these coming to retail? So I don't know what the answer to that is. Sorry. I'm ultimately glad I backed Annunaki. This is one that I'm going to keep right there along with the rest of my Luciani stuff. Danilo Sabia, I mean, he did Rats of Wistar, and like he's starting to pop up with the Italian bros in their games. This is a 2.5 for me. I have it as an 8 on BGG, so I think that hits me in the 2.5 zone. I think that's a game that is fairly complicated that you could ultimately teach to a lot of people, and play with maybe people that aren't into maybe this kind of game.
I think the big step you need to breach for that is that looking at it again feels so much more than it is. So I think you need to heavily layer that introduction with, I know how this looks.
Yeah.
It's much simpler than that, and it is, but there are a bajillion components in this game, and that box is so huge that I think that will dissuade some people from wanting to try it.
I completely... I mean, tonight when we were doing the podcast, Amy said, well, that doesn't look like a short game. I'm like, it's not that long. It was longer than normal tonight, but I think it's one that if I were to play with maybe a little more casual group even, instead of going through the whole action teaching things, we just start taking actions and moving our pawn and being like... And once everyone sees how like an action works one time, that you kind of just get it.
Yeah. You want to give us a final thoughts rundown?
Yeah. On the Board Boys podcast, we have a 3-point rating scale. Thanks, Tim, for keeping me in line.
Yep.
0 being the worst, 3 being the best. One time only you give a 4-point game. Spoilers, this is not my 4-point game.
I bet that's not true.
What's that?
I think this is going to be his 4 boings after he said that. I can tell when Rob's getting ready with a slam dunk.
So we know Rob won't give a 4-point game to a game he threatens to give a 4-point game to, because he did that on a run of like 4 episodes.
That's
in a row.
true. Well, I already gave it a 2.5.
This is actually my 4-point game.
This is coming before that. We're gonna.
Oh,
Cam's
you
gonna
think
fix
so?
it.
I don't think Cam's gonna switch this around.
You better beware.
Add that echo and reverb again.
Yeah.
A 0-point game of Anunnaki is you just you never put any cubes down on your board. You just decide never to do that.
Atlantis sinks.
Atlantis
with all your troops in it.
sinks, yeah. And if you're Campbell, you just pick the wrong weapon every time because you don't understand how things work.
I did complain about that.
And then you get real mad, and then you win the game.
I'm having fun when it gets fun mad. Let's not like make the game uncomfortable mad.
I mean, you did throw a chair.
Well, that was like make the game more fun. Throw a chair, not like hurt somebody.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my back, I have to go to the hospital. Throw a chair.
And then the 3-boing version of this is if they were to retheme this in Stargate, because I think this is basically Stargate, the board game.
To be tight.
Yeah,
It'd be super tight.
that would have been a cooler theme,
dude. I mean, Stargate theme can't be that expensive. The IP,
unless you're trying to get the James Spader, TM.
All right, I'll go next. So, yeah. So I enjoyed this game more than I thought I would by looking at it when you guys played it for the first time. The action selection's great. The mana crystals are good. I just don't know that it all came together for me. I'm gonna give it a 2, and we'll see how subsequent plays go. But I don't know. For an area control game, it just didn't feel like it all fit together.
I don't even know if I would really say this is an area control game because there's only one of the scoring components. Like two of the scoring components are area control related. The other 2 completely are not. But it varies, I guess, where it comes out. My thoughts are very, very similar to Tim. I like a lot in this game, but it just doesn't. There's just a disconnect that exists for me somewhere. In that I really like the action selection. I really like the uniqueness of the different factions, but I just don't necessarily like how that manifests on the game board. And I also, again, think that I still don't know exactly how I feel about some of the scoring things with it, but I think it's a 2 for me too, which means I enjoy it, and I'm certainly interested in playing it more. I think just the way that you can take turns and make more out of those turns is enough to make me say that I like this game. So 2 for me.
I think this game is high quality, and I think this game is well designed, and I don't think this game has a lot of problems. I can't discount it just because it's not really my type of game. However, I do think that if you want to get the most out of it, you got to have all the juice. And there's a lot of those games that exist where it's like a lot of plastic figures and getting them out and like, what faction am I going to play? What modules are we going to set up? And I think this ranks in the upper half, but I don't think it's the best one. So today I'm torn between a 2 and a 2.5, and I think that I'm going 2 because of I just think the ease of getting it to the table and all set up and play Annunaki is maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's a little tricky. Michael, how do you feel about that, dude? Rob's cat Michael is giving me a big sniff.
Okay, well, that'll wrap up our thoughts for Anunaki. So here on the Board Boys podcast, we like to go 1 year in the past, take a look at what we were playing. Cam, do you want to hit us with that song?
Baby, turn around, I wanna see that sexy board game go. Board Boys bump.
Or dump.
All right, 1 year ago, Darwin's Journey. It was an 8.2 for $6.49. It is still an 8.2.
Big bump.
This is a fatty bump.
Yeah. It's 130, so a huge bump. Yeah,
It's almost in the top 100.
Yeah,
Considering its score has not decreased over that amount of time, this is definitely a top 100 board game then.
We did play this last Tuesday.
It rocks.
God, Darwin's Journey is so
good.
fun.
It's very good.
It's just we didn't play the Fireland side.
You don't like,
but that side of the board is cooler. All we could remember about the time mechanism was we didn't like it.
Yeah. Was punishing. I still really like this game. The worker placement, all that stuff is really cool and unique, and I don't know. The seals and everything. Like the whole game kind of comes together. The
I think
wombo
it's fun.
combo.
It's a fun game.
It's a fun
Yeah.
game. Jake still hasn't played it.
I still have not played Darwin's Journey.
Yeah.
What?
You're not missing much.
I would like to play it. It just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, Cam only gave it a 2.
Yeah, well, and the reason is because I feel like the other games have accomplished the task better by the same designers. However, the sailing and traipsing around I think are really neat. And
You gotta love to traipse.
and like I like any of the games that are like kind of like Lorenzo-y or Newton-y, where it's like, oh, you got your master cards, you're trying to get those played out for their big juicy booster they give you. Like it's a good game. I like it more than I like the game we played tonight, but I don't know if it's as good technically of a game as the game we played tonight. I guess as well made. I don't know, maybe.
It's a good old juicy booster.
Yeah, I don't know.
The JB.
I think it all comes together for me pretty substantially.
Maybe one more play and I'd be like, this is my favorite game.
Have you played it without the expansion?
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah. I think getting rid of like the little juice cards up front and the
Like it makes it better without those.
Playing without
I
the
think
animal,
so, yeah.
The animal cards are terrible if you've played the game before because they just make it so you do way more stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe that's what it was. Is it seemed too easy to get everything done?
Yeah,
Because I think both the times I played it, I'm like, what do I do now?
You can play with new players and give them an animal.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah. It just I think the one thing that I really like about the game is how tight, especially money is.
Tight.
And when you start boosting it with some of the other, like maybe the Firelands and definitely the animal cards, you lose that. It becomes less tight.
Yeah, I would love an expansion for that game where they just give you a new board.
Yeah.
Like, I love the maps.
Yeah, those are cool.
All right, cool. If you'd like to give us feedback, you can do so at our Board Game Geek Guild. It is Rob tries to put those in a couple of weeks in advance. So Jeremy Dobler said it's a bump for sure. He gives this one 2.5 for him, only docking a half point since he enjoyed the Firelands expansion, but didn't like the time mechanism. He wished there was a way to play the Firelands mechanism without time. We agree to that. Christopher Boat, even with all the other great designs, this might be his favorite by Luciani. Nestone? How do you spell his name?
Nestor
Nestor.
Mangione?
Yeah. Nestor's designs are a bit more divisive, but I always like seeing his name on the box. They make the best games about moving up tracks. So 3 points for him. And Jeremy Thoman doesn't remember to rate it enough, but wants to play it again. We should definitely do that.
Jeremy.
Yeah.
I can just imagine Jeremy saying that.
Yeah. Strong 2 points from BJ from Board Game Gumbo. Every time he's played it, he's enjoyed it more. Probably one more play and you get it to 2.5. And then our buddy Chris E, 2.5 boings. He said tuna half boings. The Fireland side elevates it even higher. And while I don't mind the time mechanism as much as others, I adore the exploration cards. Those were cool. I remember that.
Hedora the Explorers.
I don't think I disliked time either, if I remember that. I think I was able to manage mine just fine.
And it actually injects a little theme into the system quite nicely.
Yeah, I'm ready to play that game again.
Yeah, me too.
Sheesh.
We figured it out even though I forgot my rule book at home.
We did do that.
And half the stuff that I printed out for it.
Speaking of things we did a year ago, when's Board Boy Bill coming back to do a couple episodes with us?
Soon, I would imagine.
Good old Board Boy Bill.
I'll ask him.
Yeah.
He's getting married sometimes. Well, he's having his reception soon. So.
Is he moving back?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, I thought maybe he was.
No, they're.
Or I talked about it.
Yeah. I don't know. Party.
This one goes out to Board Boy Bill.
Board Boy Bill's the man.
Pour one out.
Yeah. Where's he at?
I'll see you at the crossroads.
I will say
and we pray every day. Sorry,
when
that's
Bill,
not actually Crossroads.
When Bill moved away, we've played TI significantly less since then.
Yeah,
so.
That's true.
Yeah. Do you remember the four person games?
We did those like all the time.
Do you also remember how like
we did it in like 4 hours?
When after Bill moved away, like my wife came up here and my life got really busy and then I had a baby.
Yeah, but that was like a year after Bill moved away.
True.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And I was still able to play pretty frequently.
We played a lot of 4-hour 4-player TI games, which was tight.
Yeah, we need to get some TI played.
All right.
Love that game.
Well, that's another episode of the Board Boys podcast.
It was a long one. We did a short one last week.
Some season, some episode.
It is season 14, episode 10.
Thanks, Tim. Always the consummate professional.
Yeah.
Did you say consonant professional?
Consummate.
Okay.
Right?
Yes, that is correct.
Thanks.
I thought you said consonant professional.
I am that too.
He
constipated.
You know what
a
consonant professional is a PhD. Because no vowels in that one.
Boo.
But
I'm right.
You are right.
Please visit the Board Boys podcast. From there, you can go to all the cool links, the Patreon, the Discord. I'd like to shout out our patrons right now. If you'd like to support us, theboardboys.com/Patreon. Hammond Buckland, BJ from Board Game Gumbo, Shifty Teeth, Jeff Gray, Andre Bosch, Braden Dowdy, Rob Cooper, Richard Lane, Matt Kelly, and Jeremy Thoman. Campbell, good to see you again, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Don't jinx me for the next couple episodes. I've been missing like an episode every other episode. It sucks.
All right, well, until next time, we hope you like board games.
Boing, boing, boing. There will be a party for the world. DJ T. Walsh, 1988.
his rhyming kind of game. Then he winked all three of his eyes at me, and he said, did you catch my name? It's clacky pack, I got a clack attack, I got a creak like throw the clacker jack. Turn the tide, you gotta move the mind, you gotta wham bam funky by the five. Clyde. I said, hey Clyde, you're sure outside, your rap is truly meaner. Now try some more, he said, for sure, come on, let's do Tina. Tack your back, I got a tack attack, I got a T-tie to the tacker jack. Turn the teeth, I gotta move the meat, I gotta wham bam funky by the Tina. Well, how about Stevie? That's easy. Stack your back, I got a stack attack, I got a squeeze thighs to the stacker jack. Turn the teeth, we gotta move the meat, we gotta wham bam funky by the Stevie. Ooh, but can you do Shirley?